the Golden State Valkyries start the second half of the season with a 10-point win over the Dallas Wings.
An impressive
Bypass production standards or authenticity requirements. We cannot allow any company, regardless of its fame or ownership, to undermine the reputation of Scotland's most valuable export, said spokesperson Gordon MacLeod. If these allegations are proven, those responsible must be held fully accountable. Independent distillers, too, have expressed concern that Galloway's scandal might cast a long shadow over the entire industry, particularly among international buyers who might now question the credibility of Scottish whiskey certifications. Exports to key markets such as the United States and Japan rely heavily on trust, and any hint of counterfeit or adulteration can trigger enormous economic repercussions. As pressure mounts, all eyes have turned back to Sam Heughan. Once celebrated as a national treasure, he now finds himself trapped in a web of legal complexity and public scrutiny. In recent weeks, he has been seen entering and leaving meetings with legal advisors and auditors, appearing noticeably strained. According to sources close to the actor, he has been working tirelessly to cooperate with investigators, providing all requested documentation and correspondence related to the distillery. He's determined to prove his innocence, one associate told the Daily Record. He feels betrayed. Sam trusted his management team and relied on their expertise, but he's beginning to realize that some decisions may have been made behind his back. Despite these reassurances, the media continues to demand answers, and Sam's attempts at diplomacy have only deepened curiosity. At a charity gala in Glasgow, his first public event since the scandal broke, a journalist asked directly about the investigation. Sam paused briefly before replying, "I'm focusing on cooperation and resolution. Everything will be clear soon." His calm tone did little to satisfy the press, who interpreted his brevity as evasive. Online, the clip of that exchange went viral, with thousands of comments dissecting his expression. Some saw sadness, others guilt, and still others a quiet resolve. But beneath all the noise lies the unspoken truth. Silence, even when strategic, can feel like confession. The unanswered questions now multiply by the day. Who truly managed the day-to-day operations of the distillery? Was Sam merely the public face, or was he directly involved in its strategic decisions? Could the scandal be the result of internal sabotage or corporate rivalry? Some tabloids have even suggested darker possibilities, that competitors within the industry may have exploited Sam's fame and inexperience to set him up for failure. While such theories remain unverified, they have only fueled the ongoing drama. For his fans, the narrative has become both tragic and compelling. A beloved national hero caught in the crossfire between integrity and exploitation. Political voices have now joined the debate, with some members of the Scottish Parliament urging transparency and warning against celebrity protection. Meanwhile, business analysts warn that prolonged uncertainty could lead to financial collapse. Investors, anxious about reputational damage, have reportedly begun withdrawing their shares, while production at the distillery has slowed to a near standstill pending the outcome of the inquiry. For Sam, who once dreamed of turning Galloway into a sustainable legacy project that would support local employment and Scottish craftsmanship, the prospect of watching it crumble is said to be unbearable. Caitlin could immediately tell that this was a child who had known struggle, who had learned to be grateful for things others took for granted. What no one else knew was that Marcus had been saving for months. Every coin from his modest paper route tucked away in a shoebox under his bed, still short of the amount needed for a pair of proper trainers. His mother, Sandra, worked 2 jobs, a cleaner at a hotel during the day and a cashier at a petrol station through the night, doing everything she could to keep her small family afloat after Marcus's father had left 2 years earlier. That duct tape was not a sign of neglect. It was a sign of survival. But to the 3 boys standing over him, it was simply something to mock. The bullying was relentless. "Maybe if you played better, you could afford new shoes." One of them jeered, giving Marcus a shove that made his small frame stumble slightly. The sound of their laughter bounced off the gym walls, sharp and ugly. Caitlin froze for a moment, her jaw tightening. She had seen enough documentaries and campaigns about youth bullying to know how devastating it could be. But this was no scream. This was real, right in front of her. She remembered something her grandmother used to tell her as a child. When you see someone being hurt and you stay silent, your silence becomes part of the hurt. That memory ignited something within her. Not the kind of outrage that explodes, but the quieter, steadier kind that acts. She walked towards them with calm authority, her trainers making soft sounds on the polished floor. The three bullies stopped mid-laughter when they recognized her. Caitlin Clark, the WNBA star, hometown hero, the girl whose name had become synonymous with grace and grit, was standing right in front of them. The bravado on their faces vanished, replaced by confusion and embarrassment. "Hey, fellas," she began, her tone even but firm. "I couldn't help overhearing your conversation about shoes." Her eyes shifted to Marcus, who looked frozen between awe and shame. "You know," she continued, "some of the greatest players in history started with shoes that were falling apart. Michael Jordan's first pair was so worn down his coach nearly benched him." The bullies shuffled uncomfortably. Caitlin's presence carried both star power and moral weight, a reminder that greatness had nothing to do with appearance. She crouched slightly to meet Marcus's eyes. "What's your name?" she asked softly. "Marcus," he whispered. "Marcus," she said, smiling gently. "I like your courage. You showed up. You came here ready to play even knowing people might judge you. That's what real strength looks like. Showing up when it's hard." Then she turned to the rest of the kids, her voice clear and steady. "Let me tell you something about basketball," she said, sweeping her gaze around the gym. "It's not about what's on your feet. It's about what's in your heart. You can wear the most expensive shoes in the world, but if you don't have respect for yourself and for others, you'll never be a real player. Greatness starts with kindness." Her words echoed through the space, disarming even the most defensive faces. The tallest boy, who had led the taunting, shifted awkwardly before mumbling, "Sorry, Marcus." The apology was hesitant, but it was a start. Caitlin could have stopped there, but she didn't. Something about Marcus's quiet resilience stirred her deeply. She had been privileged growing up. A supportive family, good schools, endless encouragement. Yet she had always known there were kids like Marcus, fighting invisible battles every day. "Marcus," she said after a pause, "can I see your shoes for a second?" He hesitated before nodding and slipping one off. Caitlin turned it gently in her hands, examining the careful tape, the wear along the edges. "You know, what?" she said finally. "These are shoes of someone who refuses to quit." She handed it back with a proud smile. "Keep them for now. They've carried you further than most people realize." What happened next would move millions once it spread online. After the clinic ended, Caitlin quietly called one of her sponsors and arranged for Marcus to receive not one, but several pairs of professional quality trainers, along with a year's worth of sports gear for every kid in his class. When the delivery truck arrived days later, Marcus's mother wept. But the real magic had already happened. In that gym,
Bell, the switch, but the swish from Care.
as the soft hum of the rain outside mingled with the sounds of sneakers on the court, Caitlin Clark watched Marcus, a quiet, 12-year-old boy whose duct-taped shoes had become the cruel target of mockery, sit on the bleachers, shyly handing her the worn pair that had carried him through hardship and hope. She turned them in her hands with gentle reverence, tracing the tape and the frayed seams as if reading a story written in resilience. "These shoes have character," she said, her voice carrying through the gym. "They belong to someone who never gives up." But then, with a soft smile, she added, "I think they've earned a rest." Within minutes, a delivery arrived, 3 boxes of brand new basketball shoes, all in Marcus's size. As the children gathered around, Caitlin invited him to choose a pair, but instead of grabbing for them, Marcus looked up with tear-filled eyes and said, "Maybe we could share them. There are other kids who need shoes too." That single sentence shifted the entire room. The boy who had moments earlier been humiliated for his poverty was now teaching everyone what true generosity meant. Moved to tears, Caitlin told him he would keep 1 pair, and together they would make sure every child had what they needed. Within weeks, the Marcus Thompson Equipment Fund was born, ensuring no child would ever have to feel the shame of exclusion again. The video of that moment went viral, not because of celebrity or charity, but because a young boy's grace turned cruelty into compassion. Months later, Marcus had grown into a confident leader, his old shoes now framed in the community center as a symbol of courage.